Hi team, greetings. So we have a few topics pending in Angular. So they are very easy and I'll just share it to you how to work with it. Just refer it once. Okay, fine. One concept is what we call Angular forms. Okay, already we created Angular pages and we have learned a lot in it. Now the one concept is what we call Angular forms. Forms are nothing but you can use it to handle user inputs. Okay, so that's Angular forms. So here forms are used to handle user input data, and Angular actually supports two types of forms. There were two types of forms. One is template driven form and the second one is reactive forms. Template driven forms are comparatively easier, simple because it is based on template. That means it is based on HTML. Okay, most of the work we do in HTML. Whereas reactive forms are comparatively a little difficult because here most of the work is being done in TypeScript, okay, TS file instead of HTML to handle the pages. So we are just going to discuss both of them right away. Okay. So the first one is template driven forms. It is created using directives. So we'll be creating it using directives in the HTML template, and it is mainly used for creating a simple form applications. That's the scenario. Whereas we have few steps, it's simple, super easy, just 4 steps to go. And reactive form means it is created inside a component class, that is the TypeScript file, and it is also referred as model driven forms. Every form control means in the form we will have controls like text box, radio button, check boxes. So every form control will have an object in the component, which mean in HTML file, if you have a text box, then there will be an object in the component file, the TS file, TypeScript file also. So if I have 4 text boxes in the HTML form, then I will also have 4 objects created in the TypeScript file. Only through the object, we are going to handle the user input. So that way, this provides a greater control and flexibility in the form programming. You can do a lot in TypeScript, there are concept called code reusability. So you can do a lot. Whereas if you are doing that in HTML, there is no such concept called code reusability. So you might be writing the same stuff again and again many times. So that's where it differs. Okay, now let's first test out template driven forms and then we'll go with reactive forms. Right. In template driven form, like what are we going to do? Obviously, we need to create a project. So I just started a project. I just created a fresh new project and I named it like template driven form. So that's my project. As of now, in my SRC app folder, I have nothing. So we are going to create component and module in it. Okay. We have nothing in it. So it is just an empty project I just created. And okay, what are we going to do? First, we need to import forms module in app.module.ts file. So in the module file, you have to import a special module called forms module. So let's go to app.module.ts and let's try adding forms module. So imports, comma, forms module. So it is slow in loading and you can see that it is getting updated here. TypeScript is getting updated and IntelliSense is loading. Okay. So let's wait for it to load or let me try hit enter. Actually, when you type here, automatically it should get loaded. Since this is new project, it has a lot to load by default. Okay. Okay, we got it. Right. So now IntelliSense is working. So when I try to import forms module, it is asking me to import it from Angular forms. So let's just hit enter, finish. So the step 1 is over. If you want template driven forms to be created, this is the first step. So in the app.module.ts, you have to include it. Okay, done. So we have included forms module. Next, what? Create a component. So that's super easy. So we'll create a component. And for that, let me open my terminal and let's try opening a command prompt. We don't want PowerShell. Let me close it. Okay. Here, ng generate component, let's say user component. Okay. So that's going to be the component name. And I don't want, okay, CSS file, let it be skip tests will give. So now we are creating a component. Let it get created. And next step, so in the component, we are going to add a HTML form. So in the form, like we need to consider three things. One is like we need to add ng form, and then there's supposed to be ng submit in the form element, and we have to include ng model in controls with name also, right? So this is what we have to do. Let's get that done. Okay, so the component is ready, and here it is, user component. Let's go. Okay, and what we'll do, we'll first test it. So let me just copy the selector app user. And let me paste it in app.component.html, and let's delete everything else from here. Okay. Let's save it. Done. So it is in the same root module. So we do not need to import and export directly. We can try. And let me open another command prompt and let me run it. ng serve with open. So it should execute and it should open the browser by itself. Okay. Let it goes. By that time, we'll come back to our HTML file. Now in the HTML file, okay, let this be. Later we'll remove it. Let me add a form. So I wanted a few information, like let's say text box input, and let's say name is equal to uname, and placeholder equals user. Okay, full name, something like this. Okay, and let's add a break tag. 2 break tags I'll add. And input the same. I just want a name equals, let's say, email. Placeholder equals email. Break. And let me add one more input. Name equals phone. And the placeholder equals phone. Good to go. And break with submit button. Input type equals submit. Okay, so let me save it. And fantastic. So our page is rendering, and now instead of paragraph, let me have it heading template driven form. Okay. Now, actually in the form element, we need two things. One is ng form we have to add, and then we have to include ng submit. So how to add ng form, sir? Let's say this is for a user, okay, user registration. So what I'll do, let me name it. This is similar to reference reference variable, okay, template reference we used to do now the same way. And here let's include it is an ng form. So this is the reference name what we are giving for this form. And if you hit submit button, let's use an event. You hit submit button, just execute the method on submit. While calling this function, I just wanted this user form's value to be sent. So user form dot value. Done. So this is how we create the form control. So we had included ng form and we have included an ng submit. When he submit the data, this form's complete data will be sent to the TS file, TypeScript file. So in TypeScript file, we're supposed to create this method. Okay, will do. And apart from that, there is another step involved here. We need to add ng model in all controls with name. Okay, name is already included. Now along with that, we need to add ng model. So let's do that here. Just ng model. Oh my god. Okay, so just ng model. Let me copy, paste it for every element. Sorry, every control. Done. We did it. Now we need to create this on submit. So let's just click on quick fix, declare a method on submit, click here. Okay, so automatically it will help us to create the method on submit here. So here it is. Better what I'll do, let me cut it, then we keep it at last so it is easy. Okay, and let's remove all these. And okay, here actually we get the data. So let's say, let's name it as data. All right. And now let's say console.log or warn, we can use anything. Okay, console.log data.username, sorry, uname. Console.log data.email and console.log data.phone. Okay, so now these are the properties that comes from this HTML form, uname, email, phone. Now this is an example for a template driven form. This is how we create a form. Now let's come back here and let's inspect it. Okay, let me open the console. I'll keep this in the right side. Okay. Now let me type some full name. Let's say Raja and Raja at gmail.com, and the phone number is 91200200300. Okay. The moment when I hit submit, see this form data has been sent to TS file, and in TS file we can able to get that and we can render it. So this is how we handle data in template driven form. Okay. In template driven form, you can see that in TS file, we did nothing bigger. Okay. We just got the data. That's it. Whereas most of the work has been implemented in the template only. Okay. In the front end, in the HTML only. So that is why it is called as template driven form. Okay. Additionally, I would like to show you something more. Now let's go to elements. Okay. And let me refresh. Okay. Now let me zoom it a little. Okay. Now actually we can see that we have text boxes now, full name, email, phone, and you can see this is for uname. In uname, we have ng model, placeholder, ng reflect name, reflect model. Apart from that, there were few classes: ng untouched, pristine, valid, ng valid. Okay. And here also we see ng untouched, ng pristine, valid, ng, and these are all classes. Okay. These can be used for validation purpose. These can be used for validation purpose. How? Say, for example, this text box is, I just change it to required. Okay. Required means what? This form must be filled, right? It must be filled. And now you can see that the first text box has ng invalid, whereas the second, here ng invalid, the first one, and the second one, oh, this is the first one, right? Uname ng invalid, and this is overall form. Overall form is untouched, pristine, and ng valid. And for email, we can see it is valid, and phone number, it shows it is valid. Okay. But for the uname, it is showing ng invalid. But now, if I start typing something, okay, and now you can see that for the name, username, it became ng valid. So here it is, ng valid. So this can be used for validation purpose. Okay, ng valid. And okay, here it is, ng valid. Now let's say, let me keep it empty. And now you can see that it became ng invalid. So if you want to validate, see, it being a required file, required means it must have a data. If it doesn't have a data, automatically the class will be changed by Angular. Okay, ng valid will change to ng invalid. And when you fill the data, and if it is good, then instead of invalid, it will become valid. And also, let me refresh it once, right? The page. Now you can see it is ng untouched, means we haven't focused on this element. We haven't touched the element. Now let me just click on it and let me come out. And now you can see that the first uname is ng touched. It is applied with the class ng touched by Angular. It is ng touched, whereas email is still ng untouched, and phone number is still ng untouched. Okay, now let's click on email also once. Okay, and let's come out. Now you can see email is also ng touched. Okay, but phone is ng untouched. So this is another set of class. If you focus on a particular element, if you get into a particular element, automatically ng touched class will be added. Ng touched. Right. Next, what is this ng pristine? Ng pristine means you haven't changed the content in the element. What? See, while loading the page, the email box is empty. Even now also the email box is empty. Pristine means no changes made. But now let's make some change. Now you see, where is pristine? Pristine is changed to dirty. Dirty means you did some changes in the form, in this email text box. Whereas here phone number is still ng pristine. Let's try adding, it is untouched. So I'm going to touch it and I'm going to change it. And now you see, let's come out. Now you can see that it is touched, and from pristine it becomes dirty. So these are the three set of classes: ng valid, ng invalid. This can be used for validation purpose. Ng touched, untouched. This can be used to ensure whether user visited that element or not. Third, ng pristine, ng dirty. Is there any changes made in the element or not? Ng pristine means no changes made. Ng dirty means changes made. So these classes are automatically applied by Angular in our forms. This helps us a lot in validation. One simple idea I'll give you. So these are all CSS classes, okay, applied. Now let's come here. Input dot ng invalid border hyphen left 5 pixel solid red, and the same for input element with the class ng valid. Okay, dot, okay, input element and then class name. Okay, input element with this class. So border left will be green color. So what I say here is, see, if it is in ng invalid, if the class is applied, that text box border left will be in red. If that particular input element has ng valid, then the text box left side supposed to be with the green color. And now let's see. You can see here the first text box is with red, whereas these two are green. Why it is left? Because ng invalid is applied. Here you can see uname ng invalid. Now let's try adding some content. So the red color turned into green color because ng valid is applied there. So in that way, we can use these classes to style our element also, right? Anyhow, this is about template driven form. You forget about these classes and all. So the 4 steps we did it. And the first one is we need to import forms module, and we created a component. We added a form with ng form, ng submit, and ng model. And we got the values in the TS file and we handled it. So here it is. Form with the ng form, ng submit, and in ng submit we are passing this form's value, and every control has ng model in it. That's it. And in the TS file, we just create the method on submit method. Okay. Because like from here, we are passing it to the method with the name on submit. You can have any name, ABC, XYZ, and you can use ABC, XYZ here. So the data will come and we can retrieve each information from it and we can log it just like this. If I submit, yes, we got the name, but not the email and phone. They were empty. Okay, so this is template driven form. In next video, I'll share you reactive form.